Manga means family.
When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze.
Hello, we are back and happier than ever.
Welcome back to Disney Plus Us.
I am your host, Jay.
I'm Andrea.
And this is a podcast dedicated to the Disney Plus streaming service.
Yes. So we talk about Disney Plus, we talk about all the news, and then we have been watching all of the animated features released in theaters by Disney, starting way back in the 1930s with Snow White and working our way forward.
That is right. Is it worth your time? Are the classics? I don't know. Tune in, find out. Today, we are going to talk about the sword in the stone. Oh, man. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of fun stuff planned for you. First off, how have you been, my lovely wife?
Thank you so much for asking. I have just been fabulous. It's been a very interesting, 2 months?
Yeah.
For those of you listening who have your head buried in the sand somewhere, there has been a global pandemic.
Wait, hold on. What?
Yeah. There's this virus going around, and it's got a higher death rate, and it's kind of scary, and the symptoms are ugly and gross. And so a lot of places, and we are in the United States, so we've been experiencing a stay-at-home order.
Thus, streaming has risen from the already high peaks of popularity.
That's what you should take away from that whole thing. Start streaming. Have you finished Netflix yet?
Oh, yeah, last week. Netflix is so old. It's pretty good. Oh, funny. Oh, right. So,
how are you doing, Jay?
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I realized that you'd asked me, and then I almost didn't reciprocate.
It's a very polite.
That would have been rude.
It's very polite. You did.
How are you doing?
Wonderful. I have also been living at home. Now I know why. And we have been doing fun things. I think you and I do a really good job of keeping things entertaining and fun.
Yes, the reason we didn't record last weekend is because we were celebrating Derby Day.
That's right. It was the day the horse derby,
the Kentucky Derby.
Derby.
That's what it usually is, the first Saturday in May. I believe it's been delayed to September, but we celebrated anyway. We wore silly hats. We ate little appetizers and finger foods that we bought in the freezer section and made ourselves.
And gambled.
We gambled. We watched the
virtual
derby that has all the past Triple Crown winners pitted against each other
throughout history.
And they had AI determine who would win.
It was so fun.
So it was very enjoyable Derby Day. But that's why you didn't get a podcast from us last weekend.
So we're sorry. But
not really.
We had fun.
We
but
did.
I am glad to be talking with you. And I'm glad our listenership is actually spiking. It's swelling.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
We appreciate it. Hey, if you want to reach out to us, we'd love to hear from you. But if you don't, that's fine too. We're just glad you're putting ears on
what we're laying down.
Our watching experience.
It would be fun. Maybe we could have a guest host. We've been doing that just with people we think would be fun to guest host, but a listener could call in, and why not?
Oh, I like the idea.
Anyway.
Yeah. A lot of Disney movies to watch.
That could be you. Anyway, let's dive in to actually why you're tuned in, and that is the news.
Oh boy! Jay and Andrea are going to talk about the news.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, hear ye, hear ye. fresh. There's been a lot of news coming out of Disney Plus, and it's almost all exciting.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, first off, National Treasure, the TV series, is in development.
Huh.
I'll take that with disapproving tone, but I'll fill in with detail. There's a much younger cast.
Good.
Wow. Okay. There's some steam coming off the other microphone, guys.
I'm kidding.
They're hoping to have a theatrical movie also starring the same cast. And you may be asking, is Nick Cage in it? Because that's really all I even remember.
That's all we want to know.
Well,
really.
I don't even remember plot really, except Nick Cage being Nick Cage.
Well, he found the map to the treasure map on the back of the Constitution, and he had to steal the Constitution, or maybe it was the Declaration of Independence. I don't remember.
Maybe the sequel has there's a map on the other.
Well, there was a sequel. It was called National Treasure 2 Book of Secrets.
Wasn't there a third?
If there was, I didn't see it.
Okay.
Because Book of Secrets was like, man, this is just getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
The first one was a phenomenon.
first one, everyone loved the first one. The second one is like,
Ouch.
should have left it alone.
Okay. So
Which is why the over the series. I still have that should have left it alone feeling about this whole franchise.
yeah. So to get back into it, Nick Cage will not be in this.
Blasphemy.
Well, that we know of. It might be one of those secret surprises.
Like a cameo where he wanders it by as they're doing something.
Yeah, it's just some kind of hint. I don't know what's going to happen. And you may say, Jay, who is directing this wild circus that they are trying to sell us or give us for free? Because literally it's just coming to Disney Plus. So it's, you have very little investment except your memories of National Treasure. And the guy's name is John Turteltaub. Have you heard of John Turteltaub?
No, but I like his name.
It's great, right? Mm-hmm. Well, here's some movies that he has directed.
Go on.
Big in the 90s.
Okay.
National Treasure.
Yeah. Oh, so he did direct National
Yep.
Treasure. Okay.
They brought in the guy.
But he didn't direct the sequel, Book of Secrets.
Not that I know of.
Well, that's why it stunk.
Maybe.
Oh.
I don't know. I need to officially look. The Meg, the remake that
Lovely.
we
enjoyed
loved
that. That was great.
We should watch it again. Cool Runnings.
Excellent.
Oh, everybody loves Cool
Okay,
Runnings.
so this guy's a hit maker.
And Phenomenon
I haven't seen that.
with John Travolta.
Haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay, so this guy's a hit maker. He knows what he's doing.
He was in the 90s. That's like 30 years
The
ago.
skills translate.
We hope.
Here's what I'd like to see. National Treasure. It doesn't specify which nation.
Oh,
I would like to see national treasures for every country in the world.
Canada.
National Treasure, Canada.
It's all maple syrup.
They find a treasure map on the back of the Stanley Cup.
Or the toonie.
Something.
Yes. Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Okay. Shifting gears. Star Wars, May the 4th. I did want to have a episode for you, but sorry, May the 4th. You gotta celebrate and not podcast. So
Yeah, this is true.
here we are. Obviously, if you have not seen or heard this, but Rise of Skywalker is now streaming on Disney Plus.
Oh my God.
So this is every single Star Wars movie that hit the silver screen is now on Disney Plus. Correct?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Rogue One on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Solo on there?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Clone Wars are on there?
The animated series is, which I hear there was a big epic new episodes released, and it is supposed to be fantastic from the Star Wars point of view. And spoiler, mild, I guess, because people know Darth Maul makes an appearance.
That hurt my brain a little bit. I had to like work through the timelines on that.
No, this is the Clone Wars.
Oh, and
the
Clone
animated
Wars.
series.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Solo.
No. There's a lot of steam coming off of this microphone over here. All right. Mandalorian behind the scenes, which Andrea and I have watched together, episode 1, and I just finished episode 2. Steam. Gosh, what have I done?
You watched it without me?
This is the danger when you get married, guys.
Okay, episode 1, they talked to, apparently the Mandalorian had this whole team of directors.
Which is fantastic.
And they each and they're all cool and they're all kind of different in their own ways. And the first episode was talking to all of them and their perspectives. And it was awesome.
Yeah. So we found out Dallas Howard, what's her first name?
Bryce Dallas
Howard directed an episode, and then there was the other side of Jermaine from New Zealand who did What We Do in the Shadows and then did Thor Ragnarok, and now the big news is he is going to do an official new Star Wars movie.
Nice.
And he's awesome. So he's worked on Mandalorian. And then there was a handful of other people that also had amazing talents. And it was fun because they did a round table. And I guess Jon Favreau was kind of the like director at large, but then let each one of these shine in their specific episode. It was really fun.
It was cool. Yeah.
But so I hear there's going to be 8 episodes.
So what's the series called?
I want to. Is it Mandalorian behind the scenes or
no? I feel like it was called something different, and I wouldn't have known except you clicked into it.
All right. How about you look it up, and I'm going to talk about Disney Comics. So I recently got into the Comixology, which is a great service. It's called Comixology Unlimited, and you get 2 months for free. So I thought, okay, I'll try it out. And it works on phones or tablets. It's an app that you can literally download. There's a select catalog that's very large that has free once you're a member. Oh, let's pause. I know Andrea has it.
Yes. Okay. So the name of the docu-series about Mandalorian behind the scenes is called Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
So if you look up Disney Gallery on Disney Plus, you should be able to find this docu-series.
Yeah.
Unpause.
Thank you. Good info. Anyway, so I've been diving into the free catalog that's offered to the unlimited subscribers. And it turns out Disney is making comics and has been making comics for a long time. And so I started with Uncle Scrooge. And if you haven't been aware of this, they redid DuckTales. And it is a story that is follows Huey, Louie, and Dewey. And they are the nephews of Scrooge McDuck. And I guess let's just say antics ensue. Well, the comic is very much the same thing. And so that was kind of a treat. It was a nice way to wind down, read a couple comics. And what makes this so unique is because it's on a tablet, the tablet can zoom into a specific panel and you swipe and the panel will change and grow. Anamorphic, or it just like morphs into the next. It's really immersive. So because of that, I've found, and I've always, and this is going to kind of combine the two news items, Star Wars and the, it wasn't Rise of Skywalker. What was the first one? With Rey.
The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. C-3PO had a red arm. And it was driving me crazy. They don't explain it. He just had a red arm. It wasn't haunting me, obviously, because I didn't go out and buy the comic. But I realized, hey, I have unlimited comics, more or less. I'm going to tap into this and see if this is on there. Sure enough, the episode is called Star Wars Special C-3PO. And it was a limited run, one time only comic, which explained why C-3PO had a red arm. Last night, Andrea and I decided to read it together. And I'm going to say kind of a letdown as far as comics go. I've been and Star Wars. I know, kind of a letdown. There were some enjoyable parts. There were some sweet parts, but then there's a lot of unnecessary talking and no motivation. The story only follows droids who land on a planet just to get data to find Admiral Akbar. It starts off with 6 droids, and I'm going to keep this highbrow. And it whittles down to 2, maybe even 1 droid. And
3PO is one of them.
3PO is one of them.
And during this adventure, he gets his red arm.
What did you think of it?
I didn't hate it. But yeah, you're right. It felt like a lack of motivation for the characters, like what was happening.
Yeah.
So, and then I also kept thinking back to how flippant everyone was about, and even 3PO about, hey, you may have noticed I have a red arm. And everyone's like, yeah, shut up, 3PO.
Yeah.
And like just the whole treatment of 3PO and the new trilogy just.
Oh, so the sequels, not the prequels, the sequels.
Yeah, the new trilogy, starting with The Force Awakens, ending with Rise of Skywalker.
3PO just
3PO
gets the
is
shaft.
pretty much useless, which he is in the original, but like he's lovable, and every once in a while he has a win. Mm-hmm. In the new ones, he's just kind of there and doesn't do anything.
Same with R2. And this is going to turn into a Star Wars rant very soon because one thing that bugs me about the sequel trilogy or whatever, they just keep collecting droids and they don't ever get rid of old ones.
And they don't think about who's serving the story and who's just extra. So they throw everything in there and then they don't have enough time for story.
Yeah.
Because they've got to give everyone their cameo line.
And here's the new droid. Oh, but we got to have R2. We got to have C-3PO. We got to have BB-8. We got to have, it's a snowball of unnecessary droids. Yeah.
Let's not get too far into we could have a whole podcast on
yes,
that.
We could.
A whole series of podcasts on that.
Because we love Star Wars, and that's why we're so passionate about it. But anyway, one other bit of news. I discovered Descendants has its own comic on Comixology.
What?
Yeah.
No
so
way.
If you're really into the Descendants world,
I am.
You can read it. It's there. It's out there. But that wraps it up for the news.
Cool.
Let's move on to the main event. The Sword in the Stone.
I love The Sword in the Stone.
I know I was like 8 and I really loved.
Do you not remember this movie?
Not entirely. I know. So what's funny, like the wizard was fantastic. I love Merlin. Mm-hmm. And
everyone does.
And I love the idea of pulling the sword out of the stone. But this was right around the time where I learned about Disney World. And of course, when a kid learns about Disney World, he's probably the age to go. You have to go. And I watched so many like documentaries or like videos before YouTube. This was on Disney Channel. Oh. And they would show what it was like there at the theme park. And they had a clip of a kid pulling the sword out of the stone. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do that. And of course, we would talk about it at school. Some kids said, hey, I went to Disney World. And I'd say, hey, did you pull the sword out of the stone? And they'd say, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then I thought, I'm going to do it. In the back of my mind, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And we went to Disney World. And sure enough, they have the sword in the stone right there by the castle. You got to try, and you can. I walked up there. I put my hands on the sword. I thought, I can do this. I know everybody else fails.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I failed. It did not budge. It was stuck. I really yanked and yanked, but whatever release in there lets the sword rise did not rise for me. But what about you? What's your memories of the sword in the stone?
I loved this movie as a child. I watched it over and over and over again, and I still love this movie as an adult.
Wow.
I remember all of it, and it is fantastic, and I think it's hilarious, and I'm so excited to watch it.
So would you say that the sword in the stone would be a good idea to remake into a live action?
I think it'd be real hard to do. Because half the movie, like Merlin is turning them into birds or fish or squirrels.
Oh, come on. We've been able to do that since 1995.
And it's just like adorable when they do the animation so good. And so I have a hard time imagining them as CGI fish and it being as cute and as cool.
Or what if they did like a claymation remake? No.
See, I think this movie is so darn good. Why mess with perfection?
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Why mess with perfection? Okay. Should we do an improv?
I'd love to.
All right. So the idea is I'll play a guy named Hector.
Uh-huh.
And you play a girl named Tabby. And we are two children who are, and this hits close to home, not lucky enough to remove the sword from the stone.
Are we at Disney World or are we in the movie world?
We're in the movie world.
Okay.
And Merlin's really about where I always imagine our faces covered in dirt.
Dirt, yeah.
And like just
wearing rags.
willing to kill somebody for a slice of bread or something.
Yeah, very thin.
Very thin.
Yeah. Okay.
And scene.
Hector,
Tabby?
did you see the sword in the churchyard over there?
I've been looking at the sword like every day since I was
I
born.
yanked and yanked and yanked and yanked, and it won't come out.
I have been yanking on this sword too, and it does not come out. So, what we must do
Yes,
to remove the sword from the stone?
Hector.
I'm tired of this. We need to rise up. We need to stake our claim.
But Hector, maybe the gods just decide that we are not worthy.
Ridiculous. You got to prove it to the gods by removing it from the stone.
So how do we remove?
Well, I've heard if I eat 4 raw eggs for breakfast, then I will be able to rip the sword from stone from my strength.
No, Hector, that will not work. I think we tie a string, and then we tie the other end to a bird, and when the bird flies away, then it would just slide out because the bird wants to fly.
I'm pretty sure a bird could not fly with a string tied around it, let alone a stone tied around it.
What if we got some hog grease and greased it up real good?
I like where your head's at.
And then maybe the grease will make it slip out of the stone.
Tabby, let's do this.
Let's go find some hog grease. I think my Uncle Stephen has some.
Okay, let's meet back at the sword in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'll drink some eggs just to be safe.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Tabby, you got the grease?
Yeah, just a little bit. My Uncle Stephen wasn't around, so I just took it.
I got the milk. See my guns?
Yes, you look very strong.
Thank you. Let's grease his sword up.
Okay, give it a yank.
All right, let me climb up here. Hands around. 1, 2, 3. Dang it.
It didn't work. Let me try.
Okay.
1,
2.
3.
Pull harder, Tabby.
I think I burst a blood vessel.
Oh, no. And scene. Wonderful.
That was adorable.
That we did a good job.
Yeah.
To pat our
Hector got an accent about halfway through that.
It comes and goes.
Yeah.
It's part of his character. He, different interracial marriage was his parents.
All right. Let's actually watch this movie.
Or
we've got a trailer.
I'd give anything to go riding about on a great white charger, slaying dragons and griffins, mating giants.
I forgot about the
This
dragon.
is the story of a hero, a conqueror, a legend. Before he became such a big wheel,
Oh boy.
young Arthur, the boy who would be king, with a little help from his agent.
Oh, Merlin, you're back from Bermuda? So, first thing tomorrow morning, we'll start a full schedule. 8 hours a day.
This does look funny.
Meet
It's
Merlin.
awesome. I don't want to build it up too
In
much,
England,
but it's
Yeah.
he's the
awesome.
source for sorcery, who teaches Arthur some basic animal instincts. He shows him the lighter side of black magic.
The lighter side of black magic.
Never touch the stuff.
Arthur and Merlin, on their way to the top. With just one thing standing in the
I
way.
remember that pig.
Aren't I hideous, boy? Well, yes, ma'am. Want to fight? Want to have a wizard's duel?
Oh man.
The Wizard's Duel.
Squash me, will you?
Get ready for cutting comedy and sharp-edged adventure. Walt Disney's The Sword in the Stone.
All right.
Yeah.
That does look fun.
Yeah.
And I'm in the mood. I think it's ready.
Let's watch it.
2, 3, 4.
It's time for the movie!
Which remote do we use again?
I'll get the popcorn.
There could be spoilers.
We'll be back in 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're back.
We just watched The Sword in the Stone.
Yes. And its majesty. First time in, I bet, 30 years for me.
And first impressions. Last impressions. Impressions.
There's a lot I feel is missing.
What?
Yeah. I feel that it's the joy of 101 Dalmatians was a highbrow art. It was a through story. There were like adults could easily enjoy this. This felt more kid level and only kid level to me. There was a lot of like the big thing, the big goal was to get Arthur to this tournament and with education, I guess. And Merlin kind of, I don't want to get into this too much. We're going to go through the blow by blow. But it just felt like much of the movie spent too much time on like, here's what it's like to be a bird. Here's what it's like to be a squirrel. Here's what it's like to be a fish. If each of those segments were half as long.
What?
And there were much more plot than I would be in.
From my perspective, Merlin is not all seeing, all knowing. They established this from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
But he knows somehow that Arthur, the wart, is important. And so his way of preparing him for whatever his important role is going to be is by educating him. And he's cheating by using magic to educate him because they can't make him read a mountain of books and have him like be into it. So the whole point is to educate him for some future important role that Merlin hasn't figured out what it is.
So what did he learn at each of these
Well,
journeys?
we'll get into that. Let's go through the plot.
Let's review. Okay.
Point by point. Okay, so the very beginning, we see our standard book opening, and a minstrel is singing about the state of England.
And Andrea knows all the words. And I had to say, wait, what did he say? I don't understand what's going on.
Legend is sung of when England was young. I'm not going to sing the whole thing.
So
basically, England, the king has died. He doesn't have an heir to the throne. And so it kind of seems like all the nobles are going to fight each other for who gets to be king. But then, bam, this miracle appears. It's in a churchyard. It's a sword that says, whoever pulls this out of the stone gets to be king. So everyone's like, okay, cool. And so everyone tries. No one can do it.
And that's where the story starts.
That's where the story starts. And then flash into a deep, dark forest. It's a medieval time. Strong prey upon the weak. And then we see our hero, Merlin, pulling up water from the well.
Yes, that was... And he was immediately talking about present day technology.
He's saying it's very inconvenient. There's no plumbing in the Middle Ages. It's all very funny, very slapstick humor.
So he is time traveling.
Yes.
And he is aware that Arthur will become king.
Well, no. No, he doesn't appear to know.
This point in the movie.
He knows there was a King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, but he doesn't know that that's this boy that has dropped into his house for tea. So, and they established that he's like, well, we're expecting someone to drop by for tea, and he doesn't know anything really about this boy, except he knows it's going to happen. So he drops in, he says, well, okay, I'm going to educate you. And the kid's like, okay.
By educate, turn you into animals and have prey chase you. That's your education.
So he's like, I got to educate you. The boy's like, well, I've got to go back to the castle. I've got work to do.
So he doesn't work at the castle. Let's be clear. This is not the castle of England.
Castle.
No, this is some
like
guy's castle.
Some lord's castle.
Yep.
So he works there.
And
he's basically, they took him in. He was an orphan, and he basically does all their dishes and chores.
Which it is a father and son that live there, and then there's like one cook lady. And there are, not even kidding. There's mountains of dishes that could easily be, I would say, at least 3,000 dishes.
Yeah.
For every meal.
Yeah. You see him cleaning up after every meal, and he's got this pile of dishes that he always falls down the stairs with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how that happens physics-wise, but that's not the point.
Okay.
So Merlin packs up. What do you think about his method of packing?
I think that was one of the highlights of the movies for me. He shrinks everything in song. Mm-hmm. And is able to fit all of his lovely books in a briefcase or suitcase.
And furniture and crockery and everything in one handheld valise.
That's right.
Yes. Which I'm very jealous of that method of packing. I think that
shrinking
could be very
things
useful.
would
Just
have been
shrink things.
would be very helpful, yes.
So anyway, he's like, well, I'm coming to the castle with you then, if you have to be there. So they start wandering off. There's this skinny wolf who keeps reappearing throughout the movie that's following them, trying to get a bite out of the boy.
Because skinny boys, that's where the
food is. So the sad little desperate wolf never gets food the whole time, but he's chasing them. They show up at the castle. And the boy gets in trouble because he ran off in the forest and he's late. And so they send him off to the kitchen.
And gets demerited, and that means more dishes.
More dishes to do.
Yeah.
And Merlin introduces himself and says, I'm here to educate the wart. That's just what they call the boy. And the guy says, oh, no, you don't. No. And Merlin demonstrates his power and convinces them to let him stay. What'd you think of this scene?
You know, I think that Merlin's demonstration of making the wizard blizzard indoors was kind of fun. It was a power shift because the big people that live there, they're big dumb guys that always cared about training and power and that's about it.
But any magic is like terrifying and evil.
Well, and the magic switches the power. It shows Merlin is legit. He is powerful, more powerful than them, and that they should be, cautious and accepting of him.
Which, of course, they do to a certain extent. They do give him a room in this tall, rickety tower that looks like it's about to fall over. And then it rains that very first night. And there are holes in the ceiling. And Merlin's pulling out all his umbrellas, which are definitely not a thing back then. But
it's Merlin.
It's Merlin. He's got umbrellas.
He
and cuckoo clocks. And
I forget. There's a character in Star Trek that his name is Q. And space-time and rules of nature do not apply to him. Merlin is much like Q. He does whatever the heck he wants. He does magic. He does time traveling. He does whatever he pleases.
What cracks me up, though, he's this powerful being, yet he's so clumsy and like slapstick through this whole thing.
Yeah.
So he has all this magic, but he's never like frightening or not approachable because he's kind of a goofball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so rainy night. They get news from London. One of their family friends shows up and says, hey, they're having a big jousting tournament on New Year's Day in London. Whoever wins this tournament gets to be king.
Because they're tired of waiting for somebody to pull the sword out of the stone.
Right. They're assuming that it hasn't worked. So now they've come up with another method to be king. Kay, the big brutish son, is like, yeah, I'll go for that. And so they start training him to joust.
Meanwhile, the wart or Arthur is excited because he's going to be the servant,
the squire
in this fight.
Which basically means he gets to travel with him and hand him his weapons before he fights.
Woohoo.
Yeah, yippee. So Merlin decides, okay, we're going to educate this boy. He's bound for better things than this. We don't know what, but let's trick him into it. So they take him out by the moat and turn him into a fish.
This is where I start going, oh man, the pacing is off.
It's so cute. I love it.
It doesn't work for me. He's a fish. He has to learn how to swim. Okay, that's kind of cute and all, but it takes too long. And then it's like, oh no, this giant like barracuda or they called it a pike, I guess a pike fish, was trying to eat him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Merlin's like, outsmart him with your knowledge that he hasn't given him except here's how to flap your fins. And then like it gets legit scary. Like Merlin was even, I forget why he couldn't
even do anything. He was out of commission.
He was stuck somewhere.
He was in that knight's helmet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That sunk to the bottom of the lake. And meanwhile, this little poor Arthur's legit about to be eaten.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Merlin's owl, Archimedes, that swiped in there, saved the day as this fight went airborne. You would think, oh, that's exciting. Yeah. I was kind of bored. Like the fight was probably the most exciting part of the fish scene.
Okay, here's what I got from the fish scene. He's teaching them the world has people who are strong and people who are weak. There's opposites. Stop, go, in, out, thin, stout. That's what makes the world go round. But he's saying you don't have to fall into your role of strong versus weak. You have a brain. And your brain is what allows you to not just be a victim in this scenario.
Okay. I'll give you that one.
So that's what he's teaching them. I think that's a pretty good lesson to teach in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Don't be a victim just because you're weak or you're small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brawn isn't everything.
Brawn isn't everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the fish lesson.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Okay. So he goes back. He tells the fish story. He gets in trouble for telling the fish story to his foster father. So they give him a lot of kitchen work to do.
Of course, because they generate 80 cubic tons of dishes.
So he's down in the kitchen cleaning, and Merlin shows up again. And is like, hey, how do you feel about being a squirrel?
Once again, this is where the plot goes for me. Go on.
How do you feel about being a squirrel? Arthur's like, well, I've got all this work to do, so I'd better stay here.
And then Merlin tries to sell him on it, saying, hey, the squirrel's nature's enemy. Everybody hates the squirrel. The squirrel
It's dangerous.
Shouldn't live, but it's still here. Isn't that a mystery? Anyway, you're a squirrel now. Boink.
Meanwhile, like all the dishes, he's like, don't worry, I'll magically wash them so they'll be clean when you get back, so you don't have a bunch of work to do.
Instead of instantly taking care of it, he sets up some sort of magical
assembly
line that's cute and fancy and takes
and
up like 3
hours. Yeah. Okay, so they run off to be squirrels. And he's teaching them about gravity and laws of motion and physics, all those things, which is important to learn. But then they get sidetracked because girl squirrels show up, and the girl squirrels want to, like, I don't know, run all over the tree with them, whatever squirrels do.
And this is, once again, what's the lesson with the girls here? The girl squirrels, clearly there's a young girl squirrel that goes for the wart, and then an older, much scarier woman squirrel that goes for Merlin. And it just doesn't work. Like, is it teaching run away from girls? Is it teaching love is bad? Like, yes, there's a moment where Arthur falls from a tree and he's hanging from a limb, and the girl squirrel comes down to try and pull him up. And I think he falls.
Yeah.
And hits the owl.
The skinny wolf comes after him and is about to eat him, and the girl squirrel comes down and like chews on the wolf's leg and distracts him, and so he's able to get away.
So maybe the power of love is the message here.
They do say at the end of the scene, like, love is a very powerful force. And the wart says greater than gravity, and Merlin's like, yeah, I think it's the greatest force on earth.
Oh, okay. The old softy Merlin.
Aww. So even though they're like, yeah, we can't hook up with these lady squirrels because we're not squirrels.
They had to show them the squirrels got to witness the transformation from magic squirrel to human form.
And that is the saddest Disney moment of all time, when the younger girl squirrel realizes he's human, and her little heart just breaks, and you can just hear her sobbing. Mm-hmm. It's just the saddest thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So they're done being squirrels. They get back to the kitchen, and the washing assembly line's still going. The other inhabitants of the castle are freaking out because magic. And so
Which-
they're like trying to fight the dishes that are floating with their swords, and it's just a mess.
Once again, it's stupid. It's like the dishes are cleaning themselves.
We
Let's
must
stop
stop
it.
it.
Get the swords out. What?
This is a Middle Ages mindset. Like if you saw the dishes cleaning themselves,
I would say, sweet. Let it.
would you really, or would
Yeah.
you be like, "What is happening?" And
A
like
little of both.
freaking out.
Column
a
A,
little bit.
column B.
Yeah. Yeah. So multiply that times your medieval mindset. You've got. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Merlin stops it. They tell him off and say, "Stay out of our kitchen," or whatever. And he disappears. And then the wart starts yelling at them for not understanding and not realizing that Merlin's good. And they're like, "Well, you just did it to yourself. You're not a squire anymore."
Yeah.
So
That was sad.
that was sad. Okay, so flash forward. He's not a squire. What's he going to do with his life? Merlin
He's still on
and-
dishes duty here.
Yeah, he's still doing dishes.
At the castle. He's
Yeah.
not fired.
But no, he's not fired. He just doesn't get to
Be
like,
the squire at the
travel
big
to
match.
London and carry the swords and stuff, which is all he can aspire to at this point. But he shows up to the tower. Merlin and the owl Archimedes are trying to teach him how to read and write. And Merlin kind of distracts him, says, "Here's a flying machine. Man is going to fly one day." And this leads into them the wart being turned into a bird.
Yes. Which has always been one of his dreams.
His dreams to be able to fly.
Yeah.
So he's doing pretty well as a bird until a hawk comes.
From the sky to try and eat the bird. This was pretty intense, but once again, what's the lesson here?
To being a bird? I don't know if there's a lesson. I think it was just like, nah, we'll give him this.
Yeah.
So, but he got scared. He's flying away from the hawk. He falls down a chimney.
Mm-hmm.
Whose chimney does he fall down?
None other than, I believe her name is Madame Mim.
Madame Mim,
Yes.
who sings an intro song about herself, talking about how evil and destructive she is.
So for what Merlin is to the white magic, Madame Mim is to the black magic.
But she's quite comical, really. She's not frightening
No.
like Maleficent. She's
No.
like
Lovably evil.
lovably evil. Yeah. So she sings about how she's evil. She discovers little bird is a student of Merlin, and so she must destroy him. Bam, Merlin shows up.
And then this gets weird.
This is my favorite part of the movie.
It could stand on its own. Like it could be its own Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
They decide to do old Western style duking it out.
The Wizard's Duel.
But they even have a pace off where they count to 10 and take 10 paces.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of pulling guns or shooting magic out of their wands, they decide they're going to shapeshift into different animals.
to try and destroy each other.
And they kind of play off of each other. So suddenly it's a worm versus a bird, and then the bird comes to get the worm, but then suddenly like alligator snaps at the bird. They keep changing to different animals.
Trying to kind of one up each other.
Uh-huh.
And it ends. Well, first she breaks a bunch of rules, and he's like, "Wait, you can't do that." She doesn't care. Finally, she thinks she's got him. He's in her hands, which are closed, and she opens them up, and she doesn't see him. And one of the rules was don't disappear.
Yeah.
So she thinks he's broken a rule.
Sure.
He's turned into a germ.
And given her some sort of illness,
Terrible illness.
the coronavirus.
Which he announces with great glee that she's caught this virus.
Yay!
And now she's sick for a couple weeks, and he happily walks out of her cabin with the wart still as a bird and Archimedes, his owl.
Now it's time to go to London town.
Yes. Well, first off, he gets to be Squire again. I guess the other kid they had do it
Mysteriously got a virus.
came down with the mumps. So now he's a Squire again. He's excited. Merlin gets pissed because Merlin wanted him to make something of himself, not just be a
Which is
sword
unclear.
carrying something.
The time frames, like Arthur could easily in time become a thing. And sure, maybe being a squire when he's age 10 like he is now might be a good stepping stone. But to see Merlin get disappointed in this
Yeah.
is a little like, come on, man, throw the kid a bone.
Well, I think he kind of forgot what time period he's in, and Arthur doesn't really have a lot of options open to him. Maybe he doesn't remember that about the Middle Ages. I don't know. But he's so mad he blasts himself to Bermuda.
Which is really funny.
Yeah.
So now we get to the famous scene where they're in London. Oh no, Kay, I have forgotten your sword.
And he's up next.
Yeah, at the hotel. Let me go get it. He runs out to get it. Nope, the inn's closed.
It's all locked, so everybody's at the tournament. What do we do?
So he goes and he sees the sword and the stone.
He doesn't know what it is. He's just like, there's a sword over there. Let's get that one.
So he runs over there. His hand touches it. And singing from the heavens in a light. And he's like, okay. And he rips it out. And then he gives it to Kay. He's like, here's your sword. And Kay's like, this isn't my sword. And he's like, And then pretty soon people realize, that's the sword and the stone.
And they stop the whole tournament. The whole crowd goes back to the sword and the stone.
And they put it back in and have people try and pull it out to prove that it's in there.
Yeah. There's like 6 guys trying to pull it out at this point.
And then young boy Arthur's turn to prove that he had done this. Steps up, pulls it out, becomes king.
Yeah. Final scene. He's trapped in the castle, surrounded by cheering people. And he's like, I don't know how to be king. I'll just have to like sneak away and then they'll have to find somebody else. But he can't. They're surrounded by people. And then Merlin shows up from Bermuda.
And then cracks some jokes about...
And he says,
You're
oh,
gonna
yes,
be famous.
King Arthur of the Round Table. And Ward's like, round? He's like, oh, would you rather have square? He's like, no, I guess round is fine.
Well, he's like, people are going to make movies out of you. And he's like, what's a movie? He's like, it's
like television.
Hold on. This is the last words in the movie. He's like, it's like television, only without commercials. The end.
The end.
Music swells. Credits roll.
Brilliant.
I'm left dumbfounded. Like, what did I just watch? Andrea's on cloud 9.
Oh, I love that movie. I'm shocked you didn't like it.
It just didn't do anything for me. It didn't. I'm sorry.
Because they're playing with like weird time travel, and Arthur always gets the credit for the round table and uniting all the people. But maybe it was Merlin telling him those things were going to happen, and he just kind of did them.
Maybe.
Don't care.
How do you know who's to say how space-time works, Andrea? I don't know how history plays out.
I liked the whole space-time thing. I liked turning into different animals. I love the wizard's duel. I just find it vastly entertaining.
See, I think when I was like 10, this is the sweet spot. Like, there's not a bad guy in every scene. There's not complex story. There is high visual entertainment. And that is exactly what 10, 12-year-old people love to watch.
And me.
And you. I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't know that I would go out and recommend it right away. But I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. Do we have any true facts?
Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn. Moral number 1. And the moral of today's story is...
I'll let you handle this.
Knowledge is the real power.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what about Arthur was so special that he was able to pull out the sword, other than he learned basic knowledge from...
No, I don't think any of that allowed him to. He was actually
preordained by...
The legend of King Arthur says he was actually the child of the king that had died, but for some reason they had to hide him.
Okay.
So they took him away. He posed as an orphan, and they got this guy to take him in.
Okay.
So he was the rightful heir to the throne, according to legend. He just didn't know it.
So he could have pulled that thing out.
Right.
With or without
Merlin. Yeah, but with Merlin, he got the knowledge and a broadened worldview that allowed him to be a good king.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we have one more awesome segment.
Here are true facts about
Sword in the Stone. Okay, so where to begin? Well, first off, there is an inadequate fact in this. I know.
What?
It says Merlin tells Wart in one of his lessons that girl squirrels choose her man, and it's for life.
Yeah, they do say that.
In reality, however, the male and the female squirrels spend only a couple of nights together in the female's nest. And that's that. Yeah. Yes, it is
So
the female.
us.
It is the females who is responsible for raising the baby squirrels. Yeah, men go off after that.
Okay.
But
we felt worse when it was for life and he turned out to be a boy.
Yeah.
And so her choice had doomed her to a life of loneliness.
Oh. Okay, so I love jumping in and figuring out where are they now, what happened. So Wart, the 10-year-old, was voiced by Ricky Sorensen.
Okay.
And Ricky does not have an IMDb picture.
Uh-oh.
I know. He was born August 26, 1946, and died August 24th, 1994, at age 47 in Lynn, California. But he went on to have a semi-successful career. He was in a TV series called Gidget. He was in Please Don't Eat the Daisies. Did a lot of TV.
Okay.
Airport 77. Something called Most Wanted. He played Jeff. The cat from outer space.
He was in The Cat from Outer Space. Who was he?
He was the technician.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wish I remember who that was.
I know. And then let's take a look at Merlin. He was voiced by Carl Swinson.
Uh-huh.
And Carl is a big enough deal to have pictures on IMDb.
Okay.
And he's an old man, and he wears this cowboy hat. And it is very much, he looks like he would be the voice of Merlin. But holy cow, this guy was in Little House on the Prairie, and he played Lars Hansen.
Oh, Lars.
Mm-hmm. He was in the Amazing Spider-Man TV series, The Magic World of Disney. He was in Happy Days as a police detective.
Nice.
And let's see, he played a lot of Westerns, it looks like. Emergency, Barnaby Jones. Oh, he's in The Odd Couple and Lassie. Cool. So, yeah, and he was born 1908. In Brooklyn and died 1978. So,
okay.
Age 70.
So he was a big star before this film.
Let me double check.
He was the star power in this film.
So this came out in 63, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, he had a lot of film under his belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was probably the headliner. What about the owl? Who did the voice of the owl?
Oh, good question. The owl was Archimedes, and his name was Junius Matthews.
Cool name.
There's no photo of Junus.
Oh, Junus.
But he did have he went to 1977.
Okay.
He was in The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh as Rabbit.
Oh.
And before that, he was Archimedes. And let's see here. Scotty from the 101 Dalmatians. He did a lot of Disney here.
Okay. Any other that we've seen and watched?
After that, it kind of gets weird. There's things like Have Gun, Will Travel, the TV series. And let's see here. Dragnet, the original. Yeah. Half Angel. He didn't have as much as Merlin, but 22. He was born 1890. What? And then died 1978 at age 78 or 87. Sorry.
Nice.
Oh, and hold on. I'm reading his Julius Matthews was born Junus Conyers Matthews, blah blah, in Illinois. He was determined to become a popular radio and TV actor.
Like we all are.
Yeah. He started on stage and got his first role in the classic The Silent Witness as Bud Morgan. Before the movie Wizard of Oz, he did the voice of Tin Woodman on radio. And so on and so on. But there you go.
Okay, so he's kind of a headliner too.
Yeah, he has some chops.
Nice. Good facts.
By golly, I think we have reached.
We did it. I'm sorry you didn't like it as much as I did.
It's okay. Not every movie's gonna hit the same, and that's okay.
Well, for all you out there, I think it's great. It's very cute.
It is cute.
It's very entertaining. I like it.
And honestly, I had fun. There wasn't a time where I'm like, man, I'm bored. I'm just like, what's happening? Why are they doing, there's more confusion.
You couldn't turn off your adult brain.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
I'm too learned for this. How ironic. Anyway, so tune in next time. We are going to jump into The Jungle Book.
All right.
Rate us, share us, high five us, call us, whatever. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, everyone, have a good one.